Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Showtimes, where this week, me and Jared are talking about The Mandalorian Season 2, the first 2 episodes. Jared is joining me via Discord, so if things sound a little weird, then that's going to be why.
Yeah, this is definitely treading new waters for us.
Yes, hopefully it'll prove fruitful, or at the very least, productive. So, starting, I guess, with the first episode, I wasn't sure, I'm not entirely sure I had the best experience with this one. This episode did a lot of things that I like, and a lot of things that I did not like.
Okay, do you know who all the characters involved are, though? It did a lot of fan service.
That's really my big issue. This is a fan service episode, and I'm not quite sure it was a really great idea to kick off the season with a fan service episode. Because we go back to Tatooine. Let's go ahead and start our recap. We go back to Tatooine, where
well first we go to the pit where he's looking for Mandalorians.
That's right. We come to the spot where he goes to the Gamorrean fight pits to try and find Mandalorians, where he meets John Leguizamo in some pretty hefty makeup.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
It was.
I didn't even know it was him.
No, I didn't either until I had to look it up. But yeah, he goes to talk to crime boss John Leguizamo to find where more Mandalorians are. And
instead of being a regular, decent crime boss like every other crime boss in cinema, he tries to pull the classic double cross and steal his Beskar steel armor, and of course Mando then has to murder everybody in that motherfucker.
Yes, and then he just does what Mandalorians do best, which is just flat out murder all of them.
Yeah, while Baby Yoda sealed up his little space pod.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I like the way it started out. Mando stringing up a guy and leaving him to die at the hands of, or the claws and teeth, I guess, of whatever nightlife inhabits this horrible, horrible dark world.
He did promise he wouldn't die by his hand.
Yes,
so he did not lie.
That's a classic. That's a classic trope in a lot of westerns.
I'm not going to kill you, just something else.
Yeah. I didn't say I'd kill you, but I didn't say nothing about shooting out your kneecap and letting you die to the coyotes.
Space coyotes.
Space coyotes, yes. So we go from there, we go back to Tatooine, where he is told that there's a long-lost spaceport, or some kind of trade city, I think.
It's a small mining town, basically.
Yes. And he goes out to try and find another Mandalorian. In the back of my mind, I was like, oh, God, it's going to be Boba Fett again, isn't it? It's going to be Boba Fett. You go to Tatooine, they talk about a Mandalorian. It's going to be Boba Fett because everybody wants Boba Fett. For some reason,
I didn't even think about Boba Fett. I'm like, what's a Mandalorian doing on Tatooine? But then there's the whole classic argument of, is Boba Fett a real Mandalorian? And that's, some Star Wars fans get mad about it. But there's a whole thing where Boba Fett's not an actual Mandalorian. And it's...
I don't care. I have long said Boba Fett is the garbagest bounty hunter in existence.
Well, we get there, and it's not Boba Fett, it's Cobb Vanth in Boba
it's Timothy
Fett's
Oliphant. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. I was so happy that they did that. I was just like, ha 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 ha, no Boba Fett for you, dicks.
Okay, well, do you know who Cobb Vanth is?
I have zero clue who Cobb Vanth is, and I don't care.
Well, he's a book character. He's he's a canon book character. It's a book series, I think, called Star Wars Awakened. It's basically like the everyman's tale of what happens after the Empire falls, and it's told from a normal guy's point of view. He's not special. He doesn't have really any super skills. It's kind of the everyman Star Wars tale. It's not terrible.
That actually sounds like it'd be really, really interesting.
And in the book, him and somebody else found the armor. It never specified if it was Boba Fett's, but they found Mandalorian armor. It was a little different in the books, but basically the same backstory Cobb gave. These people came in. He went out into the desert to find some way to help the town and stumbled upon this Mandalorian battlesuit.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I was super happy when it turned out to not be Boba Fett. One, because I've already expressed my disdain for Boba Fett. I think he's a horribly overrated character that shouldn't be allowed to exist the way he does. But also because it shows off exactly how crap that costume looks when anyone but the person it's designed for wears it.
Yeah, I was watching it with Cheryl, and she was like, "Is that Boba Fett?" And I was like, "There's no way that's Boba Fett."
He's
and
just super tall.
When it was like, and even the subtitles, when it was like Cobb Vanth, and I was like, "That's definitely not Boba Fett."
But yeah, we meet up with our marshal, the titular marshal of the episode, who then almost gets into a standoff with Mando, and they go off and they hunt a crate dragon.
Yes.
And I did a little bit of rewatching of something. I watched Red Letter Media's Mike and Rich talk about The Mandalorian and how Rich Evans is not a fan of Star Wars, and I tend to agree with him on his opinion that it's a kind of a bankrupt property, like idea wise, because nobody can expand on anything. But Mandalorian is small steps in the proper direction of using stuff in the Star Wars world to tell a bigger story.
Well, we've touched on this before in previous video, where it's very much, this is the best thing Star Wars has done in a while. Yes. And it's definitely better than the prequels and the sequels. And it feels like it's finally being handled by people who actually care about Star Wars, and they're not super out looking for making a buck. It looks like these people they get it.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely seem to understand the appeal of Star Wars more than beyond just, oh, I remember this. That looked cool. And
pretty much.
Yeah. And they've expanded a little bit and introducing stuff like the crate dragon the way they did. It looks cool. It gives a little bit more lore to the world, because they go hunting it and they find a whole bunch of sand people.
And apparently these crate dragons are nasty. Apparently they can kill a sarlacc pit, which I didn't even think was possible.
Apparently, I have zero knowledge of what a sarlacc can or cannot do, so I was just like, oh, okay, sure, why not?
I've never seen a sideways sarlacc pit either. It was weird.
Well, you never know. A giant space sand vagina is just as good as the next, I say.
Yeah.
So they go off and they find a group of sand people who I think kind of get the a slightly Native American style treatment in this, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I've never looked at sand like, it's finally nice to look at sand people as more than something that Anakin Skywalker just slaughters violently.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't excuse what they've done or how they act, but at the same time, it's like, well, you know what? they were kind of here first, and you assholes just shoved them all off their land, so,
It was an interesting take on Sand People. It was also, how do you learn to speak Sand Person? Like, I was extremely surprised when he just started, because I remember him having I remember him having an interaction with Sand People in season 1, but I don't remember him speaking Sand Person.
I don't know either. But apparently he can, and I'm just like, you know what? Good on you. He probably took an elective in space college to learn how to speak Sand Personese or Tuscanese. There we go. Oh shit! No, that's already a language, isn't it?
I think it's weird he can speak Sand Person, but not Frog Person.
Yeah, we'll get to that. That's something I actually wanted to talk about. But they form an uneasy alliance with the Sand People, or at least that particular group of them, as they begin to explain, is like, hey, we want this thing gone just as much as you do. And so they team up and they form an alliance, and they try to lure the crate dragon out to blow it up from underneath, and that doesn't work, and so it's just raining hell on everybody, and Mando gets the idea to take the last bantha and have it swallow him with all the other explosives and fly out at the last minute and blow it to smithereens.
And you get some pretty decent action shots in that too, with him and Cobb flying around in the jetpacks and stuff like that. I like that he doesn't overuse the jetpack.
No. That was actually something that I was very concerned about after season 1 ended, was how this jetpack is going to be implemented in the show, because that kind of is a get out of jail free card for a lot of scenarios.
He barely uses it.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting to see the writers not use it as a crutch, which I am 100% on board for.
Well, I'm imagining it has a fuel supply or something like that, and you can't use it to fly everywhere. So it's probably going to be like a use as needed type thing.
Right. I mean, that's part of Star Wars that's always bugged me, is there's not really a concern for stuff like fuel, and while part of me wants to hand wave that away as it's just a fantasy world type thing, we don't really need to worry about that. It's always just kind of there in the back of my mind. It's like, this thing's got to have some kind of a fuel limitation to it. I've watched The Rocketeer. I know what's going on like this.
And I mean, they do take a Rocketeer kind of vibe to it. Like it feels like Star Wars is finally being given detail, and it's so nice. I know. Now, if only we could get that HD remaster of The Rocketeer on Blu-ray. That would be so it We can hold out. Please. It'll never happen, but I can dream. Anyway, it turns out that he, for whatever reason, Mando wants the Boba Fett armor. Like, I don't. It's more of a, you're not a Mandalorian, you shouldn't have this kind of thing. Depending on what source we listen to, neither's Boba Fett, so why does he give a shit? Well, he doesn't know who Boba Fett is. It didn't seem anyway. Anyway. It did not seem like he knew who Boba Fett was, because he just saw the armor. He didn't react to it like how he didn't say, "How do you have Boba Fett's armor?" Like, it doesn't seem like Mando knows or cares who Boba Fett is. One of the two. I'll give you that. It was definitely nice to not have the shadow of Boba Fett looming over everything this episode. Until the end, when until the very end, actually looming over everything. The wrong Boba Fett, I might add, because for whatever reason, they had to get Tamira Morrison in there. It should have been Daniel Logan. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Have you ever seen him lately? He could totally be Boba Fett. No. Who? Remind me again who Daniel Logan is.
Daniel Logan he's the kid who played Boba Fett in episode 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that's who it was. I was just, timeline wise.
No, think about it. He'd
probably be. Yeah,
he'd be in there.
A lot of people were speculating it might not be Boba Fett and it could be one of the clone troopers, but they're a lot older at this point.
Yeah, and I go back to Star Wars being creatively bankrupt just enough that some executive producer said, no, make it this one because that's the one people know.
Well, they a lot of people think, remember back to the gunslinger when that mysterious person showed up at the end?
Yeah.
A lot of people think that was Boba Fett there, too.
It might have been. I don't care. As I've said, Boba Fett is a shit bounty hunter. He's a shit Mandalorian. Let him go. Get rid of him. Nobody cares about Boba Fett. He's a terrible, terrible person. He's bad at his job. He was beaten by a blind man in a walking carpet in like 200 degrees desert heat. Just thinking about Boba Fett is giving me indigestion.
All right, well, that's pretty much the end of that episode. So then we jump to episode 2.
Yes. Episode 2, The Passenger.
Yes.
And we apparently there's still signs of people being after the child. We don't know what this child does besides we find out it eats everything.
Were they after the child, or were they just trying to rob a Mandalorian?
There was one of them who shouted, "Get the child!" When they crashed his bike, and that's I don't. What does this child do? What does it produce diamonds when it farts?
I mean, it's a baby of Yoda's species, which are like super rare because there's only like 3 confirmed ever in canon.
I guess, but if that's the case, then that really just does not. That falls back on Star Wars being creatively bankrupt about shit, and them just having to rely on pre-established things. And I find that to be the more boring aspect of it all.
Well, we don't even, apparently the child is like 50, and we don't even know how long the child is going to be a child. Like, does it go into some sort of metamorphosis at, like, you hit 51 and you metamorph into a Yoda, or how does that work?
It poke evolves into old Yoda.
Yeah, it evolves, like, part way.
Just, you hear that little doot, 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 and then all of a sudden baby Yoda forgot cute and learned backwards talk. I don't fucking know.
Maybe that's like why it's randomly eating everything. It's like it's Ryota's version of rare candies.
I guess that might be it. I don't know. Apparently it's just ravenous. So Mando takes on a passenger to get to somewhere else, and he can't go to light speed because otherwise the babies will die, which I don't know how that works. And that's one of those, I don't know how this works, and it bothers me that you've put this arbitrary limitation on it.
Well, it's because of that, though, we also have the baby, like, sneaking to this little thing and just, yoip, grabbing.
Yeah, Mando takes on this frog person she's a
grung. She's like a grung from D&D.
She's just an oversized grung. And she has her clutch of eggs, her newborns, if you will. And so that makes Baby Yoda a baby killer. Have fun with that, everybody. Your cute little mascot for a show that everybody says, oh, it's so adorable, I love it so much. Yeah, that thing kills babies. 3 babies, it eats. It's not like he's not told. It's like, hey, don't do that. Other babies, don't do that. Mando tells him every single time, he's like, don't do that. Stop it. And then it's explained that this is the final clutch of eggs that this being will have in his lifetime, and Baby Yoda is still just like, nom, 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 nom.
Yeah.
That's sweet innocence that will never see the light of day.
Can I get some salt for this?
Right? So they end up having to go sublight towards this area. Again, it's Star Wars. You hand wave away the fact that you wouldn't actually be able to get to another system like this in anyone's lifetime, but whatever. And they get escorted by 2 X-Wings that begin questioning him about whether or not he may or may not have been at this jail break.
So these are the same X-Wing fighters who blew up the base in the last season.
Are they now? Huh.
At the end of that. At the end of that episode, it's 2 of them are the same X-Wing fighter. There was 3 of them, but the 2 guys are the same people that blew up that base.
Huh.
Well, like Mando led them there, and they blew up that base.
Well, I'll be dipped.
Same guys.
Oh, neat. That's a little interesting bit of continuity.
Yes.
But yeah, they start asking him about if he was there, and he takes his ship and just tries to outrun him on this ice planet where he accidentally crash lands.
And it goes horribly.
Yeah, the ship crashes, hull's punctured, things are wrong with it all. And on top of it, that's when we get the backstory to the frog lady who he can't communicate with. He can communicate with the Tusken Raiders, but he can't he can't speak frog.
And somehow she jerry-rigs the voice box of a robot to translate for her.
You know what? Out of all of this, that was the least unbelievable thing. So it's just like, yeah, sure, why not?
From the same episode, nonetheless.
Yeah, same robot from the previous Prison Break episode, which is probably my favorite out of those episodes, too.
It was a good one.
It is. I like it a lot. Actually went back and rewatched the entire first season recently, and like the one I was hardest on was like the 4th episode where they're on the planet with the ATST.
Yeah.
I went back and rewatched it. I was like, this is fine. It's not super great. I still have a couple of gripes with it. I think Mando was a little bit exposition heavy, but at the same time, you know, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
It was a perfectly fun episode, and that's kind of where I think this one fell for the first half of it, and then we get into the second half, which is a fucking horror movie.
Yes, so more fun facts for you.
Okay, hit me with this.
So the spider things that came after them, they were originally designed to be in Empire Strikes Back.
Where are they now?
Yes, but they threw that out in favor of the thing that almost killed Luke.
Oh, the Wampas.
Yes, originally it was going to be spiders. It was going to be giant ice spiders. They've been in a few things here and there, like a couple episodes of the Clone Wars, a couple episodes of Rebels, but they were originally designed for Empire.
Neat. I didn't know that.
Yep.
So, yeah, as Jared said, the spiders came out they go adventuring into this little cave where the frog lady finds a nice little hot spring. And then Baby Yoda goes over and starts fucking with things and having a shove shit in his craw, as children do. This is... Okay, I want to make one thing very clear. Mandalorian is a perfect advertisement for birth control. Because this little monster has caused so many problems for so many people, and this is absolutely advertisement for Planned Parenthood. I'm just saying. That's my conspiracy theory.
Okay, first of all, as the parent of a young child, my daughter is teething and does not shove everything she can in her mouth. I can barely get her to chew on her teethers. She mostly just eats food in her bottle. She does not shove every random thing possible in her mouth.
Well, this is what happens when you let babies become 50 years old. I'm just saying.
I guess.
No baby should be that old. Either grow up or stop being baby.
It'll meet a Jedi and evolve or something at the end of the season. That's my guess.
Sure.
But then the two X-wing pilots come back and just sharpshoot the shit out of. I do not know how they killed all those things.
I don't know. I don't care. Quite honestly, I think that the entire sequence of this ice spiders was. I'm not afraid of spiders. This was genuinely harrowing, and I had fun. I was like, oh my god, I don't think that our heroes are gonna die or anything, but that frog lady might. I mean, that's totally up that alley.
Oh yeah, I was like, I don't see everybody making it out of this. And you think he's about to get away too? Like he lifts the ship up. No, this motherfucking spider comes down from the top.
Oh, the big one.
Bam!
Oh, I'm like, that thing is horrifying.
Me.
I know.
I'm like, I don't guess. I'm like, that frog lady's dead. And then the two X-Wing pilots show up and just start blasting shit.
Yeah.
And then they come to a semi sort of agreement. They're like, well, yeah, you let one prisoner escape, but you caught 3 and saved a Republic officer's life. So
yeah.
We're gonna let it slide.
But you tried to save a Republic officer's life, even though your friends kind of killed him horribly. Yeah. But
they were like, we'll let it slide. And,
and then we get our all cops are bad moment where he says is like, hey, since I did you a solid, how's about I let those bounties slide? Those are pretty high profile. You said yourself. You helped me patch up my ship here, and we can go about our separate ways. And they're like, I don't know. Nope. How about you get that busted taillight of yours fixed, and we pretend this didn't happen, sir? And then they peel out, effectively. And it's like, God, even in Star Wars, cops are bastards.
Yeah. But, you know, it happens.
They pressurize the main hull, the main cockpit, and they just all post up in there, and they're like, all right, let me know if that door breaches and space starts getting in.
He's like, just kidding, we'll all die if that happens.
We'll all be very dead if that happens, so don't worry about it.
Mando slowly developing a sense of humor, and then Baby Yoda just silently looks at the eggs, and she covers them, and you see him turn around and slip one last one into his fucking mouth.
God, I know, it's just, ugh. Babies are gross. I'm just going to say that. All babies are gross. Baby Yoda's gross. Your baby's gross. If I ever have a baby, it'll be gross.
Sean, babies are not that bad.
Babies are gross. All babies are gross. I can hear yours crying right now. It's going to be ugly.
My child is not crying. No.
I don't know. Anyway, getting back from the existential dread of babies back to Star Wars. This one, it was decent. It was really decent. I think this showed the ideas that you can take what's in Star Wars and do more with them rather than just rehash old events. And for people like me who didn't watch the animated series, I think that the ice spiders are a really great niche thing. And I would totally be down for seeing them done in another episode.
I think I know how the rest of the episodes are gonna go this season, but I'm not sure.
Not willing to make any predictions just yet?
I have a few. I have a few predictions.
Well, go ahead. Let's hear some predictions. We're only in the second episode, but let's hear some predictions.
Okay, so we've seen the trailer and stuff like that. There's a certain woman that is featured in the trailer. It is WWE superstar Sasha Banks. Her role has not yet been disclosed, but the biggest speculation is she is going to be playing the Mandalorian Sabine Wren, who is a big character from Star Wars Rebels.
You have mentioned this a couple of times. Where are you getting this idea?
So it's confirmed that Rosario Dawson is going to be playing Ahsoka Tano, who another character from the television show. She was the Padawan of Anakin, but she was kicked out of the Jedi Order because she was framed for a crime. Her name was later cleared, but she was like, no, I'm not rejoining the Jedi. But she's still a Force user and stuff like that. Her and Sabine have big ties to each other. So I think basically, and also Sabine has a lot of ties to the Darksaber, which we got in the season finale. So I think he is going to meet Sabine. She is going to be who leads him to Ahsoka, and that is where the child will end up.
Interesting theory.
There will be some sort of confrontation with Moff Gideon in the meantime, where either Sabine or Mando will take the Darksaber.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Sounds like it could be interesting, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing another showdown with Moff Gideon versus the Mando crew.
Well, I just want to know how they are going to combat the Darksaber, because it is a lightsaber. I know you don't know a lot about the non-movie stuff. I know you've read a few of the legacy books that got thrown out.
Right.
The Darksaber is a lightsaber. It's one of a kind. It was created by the first ever Mandalorian Jedi. It was stole later after he died. It was taken by Mandalorians, and it's basically a symbol of power among Mandalorians, and it's a big deal. It was later actually wielded by Darth Maul, who, when he conquered the planet Mandalore, and then it was taken from Darth Maul by a Jedi named Ezra Bridger and Sabine Wren, that's who they think this character that the Sasha Banks from the WWE is going to be playing. Notoriously, because Sasha Banks does a lot of crazy colors with her hair, and Sabine is notorious for that as well.
Well, that could be interesting.
So that's just running theory. I mean, I could be totally wrong about it, but that's generalized where I see this going. I know at some point too, he's also gonna hook back up with I can't remember. I didn't rewatch season 1, and I should have. The Rebel and the
the Shock Trooper and Carl Weathers.
Yes, those two.
I wish I could remember their names, but all I can remember is it's Carl Weathers.
Yes, at some point I know he is going to hook back up with them because of the trailers. But,
yeah, they've advertised that.
I see this roughly. I also see probably Ahsoka is going to be how they fight somebody with a lightsaber and not lose every body limb that they have.
Probably. Well, I unfortunately don't have any predictions. I'm just kind of enjoying where we're going. And
I only have predictions because like you said, you've never watched all the Rebels and the Clone Wars. I've watched all of that.
Right. Hey, you know what? Different strokes for different folks, and I think that's part of what makes Star Wars beautiful. Yeah. There's something in there for everybody.
I think you would enjoy Rebels just mainly because it has one of your favorite villains of all time in it.
Oh?
Admiral Thrawn.
Oh, yes. Grand Admiral Thrawn, the man who can beat people by observing artwork.
He is a big fixture in like the later seasons of Rebels. Like
I don't know, I might give it a try. Like I recently actually went back and reread the Thrawn trilogy, and honestly, it's not too bad. It's got some issues here and there, like again, the studying artwork of a civilization in order to try and understand the people he's fighting is fucking stupid, but it's stupid in a fun way. The only thing that really pissed me off was Lando Calrissian apparently gave Luke Skywalker a drink told him how to make a drink for a long night, and it turns out it's hot chocolate, and I'm like, no! Billy D. Williams don't tell people how to make hot chocolate. Billy D. Williams tells people how to drink Colt 45. That's the Billy D. Williams way.
Well, I don't think I'm not sure. Is the Thrawn trilogy canon or no?
I have no idea. I don't know, and once again, I don't care. It's one of those things. I think they threw a whole lot of stuff out that they really shouldn't have, if for only reasons of they could pull from other things besides the previously established 6 movies that would allow them to do all kinds of really cool stuff.
The biggest issue there too is they were like, oh, well, we're gonna take all these things and they're really cool original ideas, when like the new movies, like half the characters were basically a reskin version of somebody from Legacy, just copy and pasted. Like Kylo Ren was basically Jason Solo, Rey was basically Jenna Solo. Like they copy and pasted a lot.
Yeah, it's probably it's an issue.
Can I borrow your homework real quick? Like,
yeah, sure. Just make sure you don't make it look too exact.
It was definitely, and they reversed Han Solo and Chewie dying. Chewie died in the books, and Han Solo lived.
Yeah, didn't he get like sucked out in airlock from the Millennium Falcon or something?
I'm not sure. I have a friend who is obsessed with those books, and he actually bought the book used, and he opened it, and the first page, somebody like a dick wrote, "Chewbacca dies in this book."
Oh, what the fuck?
And he was like,
what kind of an asshole? That's a kid's book, too.
He was like, well, I hate this, but I have to read it now. But Chewbacca was like one of his favorite characters, too. He was so sad about it.
The walking rug, that's his favorite. No, geez, I don't want to know who his least favorite is. Well, what about you folks out there? Do you have a favorite character like Chewbacca? Leave a comment down below, and if you made it this far, thank you for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed. We'll be doing these twice a month, and it may not always be Star Wars, but for at least the next couple of weeks, it's going to be talking about at least 2 episodes of The Mandalorian and seeing where it goes, and us enjoying Star Wars, which is always fun to do. So until then, if you enjoyed what you saw or listened to, at least, this is an audio podcast, unless you stared at a screen for however long we're talking, leave a like. And if you genuinely like what's going on here, give a subscription, and we'll see you back here next time.
Later, guys.
Laters.